Good morning. It is so nice to talk to you about a very important and passionate topic in community development, and this is about community development and connectedness. Uh, thanks for the thanks for inviting me to share this with you. When I think of community connectedness, then I think what came in my mind is community building is part of community connectedness. When I think community connectedness, then I know this moves people and communities into the future and start dreaming together. When I think of community building, it equals engagement, and it is equivalent to trust and relationships. And trust and relationships are core of community development. And furthermore, within context of South Africa, when I think of community development, it also equals ubuntu. So I will discuss a little bit later the whole concept of ubuntu. I did some research on connectedness, relationships within context of community development. And I came to the conclusion that there are 4 qualities of successful full community development, and these are assets, strengths, and capabilities is one of the features or the qualities of successful community development. The second one is that communities should be internally focused, that relationships are core, and that it should embrace cultural traditions. I'll just want to explore a little bit more about these 4 futures. Asset-based means is that, if we work with the community and its assets, its strengths, and its capabilities, which are already in the community, then it is most probably that the efforts, that the interventions will lead to success. Internally focused means we start with the community and its assets in the community. We help the community to find the assets inside a community. Citizens who can mobilize these assets are at the center of efforts for development. Relationships, the third one, are key. People realize in successful community development interventions that together we are strong, and they start building networks and partnerships that reach beyond differences. And they start listening to what people care about and not about what their differences are. And where communities embrace cultural traditions, decolonize practices, it always or usually leads to successful community development. When people discover what they have, what their assets are, they find power in themselves. They realize we have power because we can do something. We do have assets. We do have talents. We do have something in the community. We do have different kinds of assets. And when people join in new connections and relationships, they build power. And when people become more productive together, they exercise their power to address problems and realize their dreams. And all this must be done in a collaborative, in a connected way where they form partnerships and networks on different levels in the community. But it is very important that the community is the key role player. They are the main decision makers of their future, of their endeavors, or whatever they want to achieve, and not experts, not outside people, not a different, not another way. When working together in the community, people realize that they have the power to address important problems and they achieve the goals they want. Strong communities know that they need each other to thrive by giving their gifts, by giving their talents, their assets, their capabilities, what they have. So there's a strong belief when they work together and there are good connections that they believe in the notion that no one has nothing. So each and everyone in the community has something to offer. Here is just an example of it. It's a deep rural community where there are not many resources, or this is what the people think or they thought about it. But when they discover that they do have assets, they do have capabilities, they are connected, they can work together, they start using what they have. So look at this wonderful picture here. This brother has made his sister a wheelbarrow, you know, from assets, from the resources in the community. And look how happy he is to do something with his hands, to do something with the assets, the resources in the community. When we think of African families, and I'm from Africa, and I'm from South Africa, social networks are a core of the survival of African families to build sustainable communities. You know, in the apartheid years, there was a very strong connection still, but you know, in the past, they built strong social networks, and this was the core of their survival in South Africa, in communities. And social networks are about connections in African societies based on ubuntu, which is a strong philosophy that is central to African life here in South Africa. And what does it mean? What does it say? Ubuntu say, I am because we are. This is the core of Ubuntu, which means I cannot be if you are not. I cannot eat if another person does not eat. Everybody looks after everybody. Sharing of gifts, assets, skills are the core of Ubuntu. It is a collective, it is sharing and group solidarity embedded in Ubuntu. And one of my research participants made this statement by saying, we grew up where there has never been an orphan. So there were no orphans in the communities where she grew up. Isn't it amazing? And this has been created through social networks, through connectivity, through caring, through sharing, through the philosophy of Ubuntu. But she also said, one of the participants also said, we lost this philosophy of Ubuntu. And with that, we lost our livelihood strategies that worked for us as African people. So it has been lost, but it is coming back, and we are working on it. And if we do community development, then for sure Ubuntu is a very strong driver of community development. There is a saying that the success of one person is the success of the entire community. Self-interest did not exist. It is a collective benefit rather than self-interest. So Ubuntu has similar concepts in sub-Sahara Africa. For example, Ubuntu is a word in Nguni, Boto in Sesotho, Bunu in Xitsonga, Fuhutu in Siwenda. Ubuntu is translated in English as African humanism, humanity and humanness. Ubuntu is the foundation of partnerships and networks in South Africa. We place a high value on sharing, or Ubuntu means that there's a high value placed on sharing, generosity, hospitality, brother and sisterhood, empathy and humanness. But people are understood in the context of their collective identity and not separate and individually, because personhood is expressed in terms of relationships, expressed in terms of sharing and caring. So what we found in South Africa and the whole world is that asset-based, citizen-driven development is an approach, is a method, it's a philosophy that is a powerful approach that focuses on the discovering and the mobilizing of the resources that are already present in a community. The asset-based, citizen-driven development approach recognizes the community as a glass half full of assets, not a glass half empty with needs. Community assets are resources that become valuable when they are brought together and made productive. So it's about coming together, bring these resources and assets together. Let's work together on it, and let's use what we have and not worry about what we don't have. Then when we talk asset-based, there are a couple of assets. We talk about 5 types of assets: human, physical, natural, social, financial. And the most important asset here is the social. It is the connectedness. It is the trust. This is the associations. This is the small groups in the community that make a difference. And we make people aware of all, or we make people help them to become aware of all these different assets in the community. But the most important asset is the social asset, because this is the glue that holds people together in a community. And by holding people together, by building good connectivity, people make use of the other different kinds of assets. So relationships are key in ABCD, asset-based community-driven development. The people who live in a community are the key contributors to community development. Communities only get strong through connections among people that permit people to give their gifts, talents, capabilities. Relationship building is the fundamental action of community building. And this is the glue that holds them together in a mutual, in a connected, caring way. And money doesn't drive community development when using asset-based community development approaches. It is care and it is working together and it's relationships that hold people together, not money. Then just a little bit about the practitioners. What is the role of the practitioner? The practitioners are cared about working in the gap between government or the agency and the community. We are the gappers, as they speak. We help the residents to develop new connections and relationships and to help them lifting themselves up instead of simply trying to fix communities. We help them to build connections so that they can help themselves and develop themselves. So what do we say? Us as practitioners, we are busy helping people, helping communities to form a community where people feel they belong, they feel part of. And what does belonging mean? Is that to belong is to be related to and a part of something. Belong is being an owner. If you belong to something, you own something. If you belong to a community, you act as a creator and a producer and a co-owner of the community. Not a recipient, not a client, not a beneficiary. So through connections, we build communities where people feel they belong. So the language that we use as practitioners is very important. We talk about learning partners. Us as the organization with the community, we are learning partners. We learn from each other. We are not deliver services. So service delivery is not part of our language. We talk about citizens, community members, not consumers, recipients, beneficiaries, clients, the poor. We talk about citizens, which is a person who produces the future and who does not wait or beg or dream for the future. A citizen produces the future. Then just a few slides. I would like to show you some pictures where people connect, where relationships are built. Look at this wonderful group of women who did some wonderful embroidery work, you know, and they sell it now at the flea market, you know, as an income generating project. Then there are street vendors, women who are coming together, who are working in a team, who have good relationships, who sell all kinds of products on the street. We are talking about, I'm also thinking of an example of the dancing group, which is a move to dancing group It is the name of the group, you know, where they actually do some performances at events, farewell at events, birthday events, end of the year functions, where they have this passion to dance and where they do it so professionally. Look at these two active young people. Isn't it wonderful? There's another picture on it. Yes, also a group of people who are using plastic bags, and they're making the most wonderful table mats, you know, with plastic, with recycling stuff. And I'm proud to say, and these are all happening through connections, through relationships, through trust, which is actually, I think, the core of community development. And it was so nice talking to you, and thank you very much. Bye.